Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In this video, you are probably here because the countdown to BEESMAS has officially begun and you need some tips on how to get a head start over everybody else this year. And don't worry, because this video will have you covered with everything you should do this year. Now, if you missed my last video on things you shouldn't do, you should head over to the video now, which should be on the card. Essentially, it's just things you should avoid. At the same time, it does give some advice on what you should do. But this video, I'm going to give some implicit advice on specifics that you should really sort of go out your way to complete and be ready for, because if you don't do these things you're not going to fail. At the same time, you're going to be at a disadvantage compared to perhaps other people who might follow these things. And there's no set way on how to do everything I say in this video, but at the same time the way I give you should work and will generally lead to a good outcome at the end of BEESMAS, which ultimately is to complete as much as you possibly can. So for some people that might just be, as I just said in the last video, finishing a few B-Bear quests, and for some others it would literally be finishing BBM or the extremities of BEESMAS. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So this tip is going to involve having some way to contact people, but I would severely recommend finding a group of people to play with throughout the event, preferably like before the event, so you sort of have a head start, as I said. So do this before the event, not after when it starts, because you're just slowing things down. And if you can do it now, then you can even do it before BEESMAS and actually boost yourself before, so just generally all year round, because this isn't a tip that's sort of exclusive to BEESMAS anyway, but you're going to want to find a group of people to play with, whether they be, I don't know, 2 people or 5 people that can fill up a server. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. Preferably also someone who's the same hive color and sort of functions in a similar way to you. So for example, because I'm a blue hive, it would be quite optimal if I found a group of blue players. No offense to my Discord admin who's in the game right now, but he just sort of chills in the server with me, not really part of a BEESMAS group. And if you're part of a BEESMAS group, that does like allow you wider access to just generally like good things in the game. So when you want to boost, you should have people to boost with. You can all boost at once, so it's not just one person catering to like another person, which is like a bit of an inconvenience. You're helping each other out at the same time. You can macro together when it's not too laggy. As much as you can do stick bugs, sprout parties, and just it's just I don't know, just nice to know some people who play BeastStorm like at the same time as you, because I guess playing on your own can get a bit monotonous sometimes, which from experience is quite annoying. So to have people to play with all the time is quite nice, but also in game it will be very beneficial. Plus you'll have some people to help motivate you and sort of drive you through the updates and that, and also get some more of the content done, which at the end of the day you're going to want to get as much content done in BEESMAS. I don't think you'll be able to learn that. So next up, I'm going to recommend that you get all your amulets sorted out the perfect way you want them before BEESMAS. And I know for some people it's going to be difficult to max out all your amulets because RNG is a big factor in this game. And although amendments have been made to things like Supreme Star, where you can pay 500 billion for double passives, of course RNG is still going to play a big factor in your amulets. So I do understand if maybe it's not perfect. But obviously, when Onnit does release the update, very close to when it starts, so around Christmas Day-ish, he does tend to add the Honey Day boost, either on Christmas Day or around New Year, which is what we've got in the code right now. So you get 2 times pollen and 2 times convert rate for 2 days, and at that time of the year is when people tend to do like the biggest boost of BEESMAS. So for example, these leaderboards will get way inflated. You don't be surprised if you do see figures like what's at the top here, 3 quadrillion in a day. I'm not sure if that's legit today, but I'm not gonna question it. And so obviously, yeah, your biggest boost is gonna be the one when you got that Honey Day boost, because people tend to stack up all their buffs at that time and do basically a big explosion of like BEESMAS buffs into offensive boosts where you can make a bunch of honey, and with all the honey you can do things like get a better amulet, for like to start if you wanted a better one, or you can get trees to level out your hive, which has like so many benefits that I was saying in before. And just so many other things, I think most people would like a decent amount of honey to be made in the boost. I don't know who wouldn't. So yeah, get all your amulets done. So I'm just talking, get the SSA double passive you want. If not, at least get a decent stats like alongside the single passive if you can't get a decent double passive, or just a double passive that suits you will literally just be fine if that's what you can get. Also, literally, you don't have to do too much to ensure you get decent amulets, so just doing King Beetle every day is going to help. I'm sure most of you already do that. There is a 1 in 7 chance of getting an amulet, and there's 1 in 7 chance you could get getting a better amulet, and it's very simple. It doesn't take too much effort. Even with the ant amulets, you only do an ant challenge and you get an amulet guaranteed at the end. Of course, 150 for a Supreme Star. That might not be possible for everyone at all stages of the game, but for most stages, I assume it would be, because I'd probably say that a Supreme Ant Amulet is probably the most difficult one to get. And just overall, if you think you can upgrade your amulet, go ahead and do it, because amulets do play a crucial role in the game. So if I head down here to look at my Stump Amulet, I get, plus 56% Stump Pollen, which is important for me, because obviously I'm a blue hive, and potentially doing stump field quests like I have a brown bear right now, or even just grinding in the stump field when my snail's down to do a boost. That's really going to help me in BEESMAS, and if I get a decent boost to the stump field, I'm gonna, be grateful that I upgraded my amulet, for example. So yeah, upgrade your amulets, make sure they're all ready for BEESMAS, and make sure you're happy with them, because if, don't give yourself a full sense of, oh yeah, it's fine, when in reality you do want a better amulet. Get what you want, and yeah, that's about all I can say for that. This next tip is actually going to involve me heading over here to Dapperbear's shop, where I'm going to talk about the importance of getting just a few of these temporary bee clips before the event, because if you haven't seen, but recently Onnit has actually said that he's going to add in trading for non-permanent bee clips only, as well as some cosmetic items. So you won't be able to trade like eggs and stuff that would make it way broken, but things like permanent bee clips you will be able to trade. And the reason I'm telling you to get some of these now is because potentially you can sort of build up like a shop, like a market of temporary bee clips that you can trade in and get better stuff out of. So for example, if I get a bunch of cheap bee clips, I might actually be able to turn that into one that's better, or like one I can't access because, I don't know, you've not done like enough of their quest to buy it normally. So if you get a bunch of temporary bee clips now, you can essentially put these into some form of, I don't know, not like a black market, but some like market where you can trade them in and get something else that is difficult for you to get normally, which I do think is going to help, because you never know, if you're trading for other bee clips, you can put these bee clips into your hive, which is going to help you widely, because you can get the hive bonus, for your whole hive. So for example, like an extra 3% capacity, I don't know, every bit of capacity adds up in BeeStorm, as you probably know, when, especially when boosting, when sometimes you're back and fill up fast, but also just generally on other stats, such as, I don't know, for some things like bomb pollen, or I don't know, like ability for pollen. I don't know, I'm just thinking of stuff in my head, but at the end of the day, getting a bunch of temporary bee clips early isn't really going to harm, and they're not that expensive generally, because even if you get the cheapest ones, you could get a bunch of the cheapest ones and actually get something a bit more expensive and hard to get, which might make it actually cheaper than buying it normally in some circumstances, depending on the type of deal you're doing. I don't know, but let me know your thoughts on like temporary bee clip trading, as well as the new cosmetic stuff being able to be traded come to BeeStorm, because I don't agree with trading, but at the same time, when it's in this concept, it does make sense, like in the game, and I do think it would be work well when it's implemented. It's not too broken, you can't abuse it with alt accounts easily, and it does easily benefit people. So in my opinion, it's actually a very positive thing. But without further ado, I'm gonna get into the next tip now. So this next tip might seem a bit vague and a bit broad, but I do think it can help, especially when the event starts and you have a bunch of new content and you sort of don't know what order to do it in. But simply create a plan of how you're going to do things at BEESMAS, potentially what time you're going to do things, what order you're going to do things, because every year Onnit does release like almost like a year's worth of content in the space of like one day, or like, I don't know, a couple of weeks or a few months if you include BEESMAS Part 2. And especially when all the new quests come out, it can be a bit overwhelming in how you're going to do them and in what order. So maybe just like having a look through some of the quests before on the Wikipedia or in the leaks when they come out, just seeing what requirements they do and maybe the most effective way to do it. So for example, if you see that one of the Bee Bear quests has a requirement to check Black Bear's wreath, maybe complete the Black Bear quest as soon as you can, so you can get these requirements done straight away, because obviously the wreath normally has a half an hour cooldown, and you don't really want to be waiting through cooldowns and that stuff too much. Ideally, you want to be handling in quests and getting rewards, which is what everyone likes to do at the end of the day, because when you finish BEESMAS, you can get a honey day buff, you can get the mythic eggs, you can get a bunch of the eggs on top of this mountaintop shop right up there in the 25B zone, if you can finish the BBN quest, obviously, which is notorious for being like the hardest quest in the game, really. But just, not even just that. Let's say you're macroing. What fields are you going to macroing? What planters are you going to prioritize when macroing, and what nectars? And how you're going to integrate it, I guess, into your boosting and that, who are you going to boost with? I know that links back to the point where I'm talking about finding a group. And finding a group can literally be part of this plan, because if you have multiple groups, you might have to see, okay, what people in my game can give what benefits in terms of their hive and their passives and how that's going to work in their boost, because BEESMAS does have quite a bit of logic to it and way more than it did when it first came out, because although the game has always been very advanced, when it first came out there were a lot less mechanics than that to balance, and now you think, for example, I don't know, let's just say you got Blue Hive, you got to balance getting your bubble blow, getting your nectars built up, and then boosting, and what passives and what sorts of buffs are going to work best in the boost. For me, that is still quite tricky to find out because, as I said, there's just so much you can do, and if you create a plan of how you're going to do things and maybe like when you're going to defeat your mobs, because as I said again, cooldowns can be such a pain, and if you know what quests are coming up and what like mob requirements they make, you can sort of save mobs for when these quests do come around for you. So this final tip, once again, could be seen as quite broad and quite vague, but what you're going to want to do now between when I upload this video and between Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, whenever on it releases the event, is to literally just experiment with the game in itself. Whether that be in the test realm or the main game, because at BEESMAS there's so many different ways to make progress and just get good at the game in general. So for example, let's say you want to boost, but you don't know the best hive composition or the best, sort of buffs and boosts to use. As I sort of said with like the making a plan, just sort of try a bunch of things, do some boosting before BEESMAS and try out some different buffs and combinations and that, and just see what works best for you, because there are so many different ways you can boost now. Like you can do smaller minor boosts with just some blue extracts and purple potions, or you can do some more intense boosts with super smoothies and full-on wins and max out boosts. Just find out what works well for your boosting, because for some people it might be that they prefer to do a bunch of small boosts and let that accumulate to sort of a wider picture, or some people might tend to sort of hold out more, get a bunch of materials, and then do a massive sort of explosive boost when the update comes out with all the honey, with literally every single buff. And everything does work in different ways for different people, because see, people approach the game differently, they design their hives differently, so even between now and the event, let's say you've got a blue hive, experiment with different bees and just see how it affects the amount of honey you make and I don't know, how you can defeat mobs, etc. There's so many different factors that go into a hive that I can't even talk about them all in the video, so as you can see over here, this is my hive at the moment, and this will probably chop and change over the next few months, like as we go into BEESMAS and before BEESMAS, because obviously the meta changes with each update. So for example, this time 2 years ago, blue was literally about to shoot right up to the top and become the best hive colour for quite a while until Onnit nerfed it. Obviously when nerfs and buffs come around, different things become useful and not useful, and to adapt that you're going to need to make amendments to your hive. So do experiment with your hive and with your sort of buffs and with what you do on a daily basis and BEESMAS, because you might find something that really clicks and it's going to help you progress and make more honey and materials in the long term. Okay, so thanks for watching this video. Sorry if it sounds a bit weird, I'm still sort of getting into the habit of actually like using my voice and talking in these videos and making a bunch of videos constantly, because some of these ideas I do literally just make off the top of my head so I don't lose momentum or forget about them. But as you've been seeing in the past couple of weeks, there should be a bunch of more videos up until BEESMAS and including BEESMAS, because I should do a bunch of videos sort of showcasing the test realm content when it does eventually come out, and just generally working through the quests when they come out, just showing the rewards and how I've gone about them, because as I said in the video, there is so many different ways you can do quests and unlock items that it's quite interesting to share my progress when I do them. Like, I remember last year I quoted my Bee Bear quests, like sort of progress on the first day in Boxing Day. It was only the first 5 quests, but I did find that video really cool to make, and I do hope I can make some like similar videos this year, because they are quite interesting to make, and they do perform decently well, because people do sort of want to know what the rewards are like and what the quest is like itself, and just generally how people go about them. So to end the video, I just want to tell you, please join my Discord server, because every day between now and Christmas Eve, I will be doing some form of event in the server, whether it be BEESMAS related, where like a sprout party we can get some rewards or some buffs in BEESMAS that's going to help you in the long term, or whether it be outside of BEESMAS, such as on a Gartic phone game or in a Discord VC activity, where if you win, for example, if it's a type of event, you can get a special role in the server, or just generally have some fun, because they're not always going to be hosted by me, sometimes by a moderator or a helper in the server, I don't know, but do be sure to come and take part, because it would be really cool to have, like, I don't know, loads of people taking part, especially in the VC events where I could literally have like 100 people in there, which would be really cool if we could get that. Aside from that, do subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends who potentially do need some help at BEESMAS, and if you haven't watched the first part, I would go back and watch that, because they are basically the same videos but with different titles, with this video sort of being things you should go out your way to do, and the other video sort of being something you should go out your way to avoid in a way, because you shouldn't do everything at BEESMAS. Like, everything that seems obvious to do might not actually work, and you might actually need to not do stuff to help, which, if it makes sense and you understand, then if it doesn't, you don't, then don't worry. But apart from that, do have a good day, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.